Once again, it's on. You're rocking with the commish, Rico, and my main man, Mike Langston. Needs no introduction. And today we want to bring you something that's going to be new this year for 2022 for the Justice League. And when we have some big transactions, we're going to get on here and we're going to talk about it regardless of the manager. We're going to break it down and see what guys are thinking. One of the biggest things in Justice League is the transactions. We are a little wily coyote with the transactions. We tend to get a little outside of our mind sometimes, and I may be the most guilty of parties. So we're going to go ahead and try to talk about this one here. We've got a couple of trades. We're bringing on somebody here shortly if they can get onto the screen. There he is. Look at him. Here he is. Trent Smiley, big dog.
What's up, fellas? How we doing?
League. What's going
What's
on,
up, Trent?
man? How you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Full. Got some liquor in me. Ready to go.
Okay, he's ready to go. Well, now it's going to be a good time to talk. So,
all right,
we had a couple transactions going down. We'll talk about the ones that we did last night. Now, there was a lot of talking going on. Had a conversation with Trey and with Corey. We had some stuff working. Almost had it. It fell apart. Then we had it. Then it. So I was looking to move. I'm not gonna lie. I was looking to move yesterday. Had a pretty good draft, but had some players that I drafted with the intention to try to flip them into some pieces to get my guys. I think one of the biggest things with fantasy football is getting your guy, getting the guy that you really wanted. I got sniped a couple times and didn't necessarily get the guy that I wanted to. So we had to make some bombs go off. So we'll see if I can cue the explosions because we had a couple of them yesterday. First trade we pulled off. It was an old 3-for-2. Now, at the time, I was sitting on Austin Eckler, and we're going to get to that in a minute because there's a new owner for Austin Eckler. We're going to get to that. But at the time, I was looking to get some insurance to get, some security for him. So he ended up being in addition to the main piece, which was DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf's one of my guys. I know they got a different situation going on in Seattle. Russell Wilson is gone. But sneakily, Geno Smith's been effective with him. So I think his volume is going to be there. New contract. I really like DK Metcalf, and I really wanted him. He's just one of those awesome players that you kind of want on your team. I've been a fan of his for several years. So I really wanted to try to figure out a trade in order to get him. Now, his ADP fell, and his ADP fell because they don't really know what's going to go on in Seattle as far as the offense. Drew Lock looks god-awful, and Geno Smith is nothing to write home to mom about. They have offensive line issues, so it's like you have this Clydesdale that's ready to run rampant over the NFL, but you don't really have the tools to get him the ball on a week-to-week basis. So we ended up doing a DK Metcalf and Isaiah Spiller, running back for Texas A&M, for Chase Claypool, a guy I know Mike likes a lot, and death taxes and Chase Claypool on your team. Coupled with A.J. Dillon, a back that I was really excited to take, but knew he would be a big trade chip. He is the 1A and 1A in Green Bay. They lost Devontae Adams. They're going to be pounding the heck out of the ball. So A.J. Dillon, everybody around the league was pretty high on him. So I figured drafting him, I'd be able to move something with him. He's got a lot of value in a running back starved league, 14 teams. It's going to be tough to get back. So we ended up flipping A.J. Dillon, Chase Claypool, and another guy I kind of sniped from Mike, and I knew he wanted Sky Moore. Sky Moore, big draft pick, just dropped a $23,000 check on a team dinner, by the way. So down bad. So A.J. Dillon, Chase Claypool,
man. That's a rookie move.
I'm telling you. Now he did have like a $6.75 million signing bonus. So
fair enough.
He's like Pat. Give me the damn ball. Get me in there.
Yeah, you owe me some red zone 23K. Surfing turfing on my ass. So in totality, the first big one went down. It was Mike traded DK Metcalf and Isaiah Spiller to me for the combination of A.J. Dillon, Chase Claypool, and Sky Moore. Mike, I talked a little bit about why I wanted DK Metcalf. I felt a little naked at receiver. I was only 12th out of 14 in the receiver position rankings. Receivers kind of the heart and soul of my team over the course of the years. And so that's why I did it. Why were you willing to make that move, and what were you thinking in that package that you got?
Well, I mean, I looked at your team and I knew kind of you needed a receiver boost, and I knew what my weakness in my team was running backs, and I knew I had Damian Harris who is serviceable, but it makes me nervous just with the combination of Stevenson and him. So I wanted to have a premier back, and A.J. Dillon was definitely fit that category. And then getting Claypool along with that, Claypool's a little bit down from DK, but he's in a situation where he's surrounded by other dudes, Najee Harris, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens should come on. So I felt like he's surrounded with dudes that if you can just give him the ball, Claypool's a freak. So I felt like it was really comfortable. The way me and Rico look at the trades the same way. We're looking like the value for each squad. Like, if I was on the other side, am I going to value this? And that's kind of how I valued it. And I kind of knew you needed receiver. I love DK.
Yeah.
That's why I drafted him. I wanted his ass, so that's why I loved him. But to give up value and give up elite guys, you have to give elite guys. And so that's kind of my thinking of. I had a weakness at running back. I really want to address it. Plus, I get an extra in Sky Moore, who I'm really high on. I think he's gonna. He won't be a guy immediately like a Treylin Burke, who you'll talk about later, but he's a guy that I feel in that offense he will explode. They don't have a top-notch receiver per se in that offense, so I think he could move up the charts with them, pretty quickly. So that was kind of my lead in of why I did it, but most of it was focused on A.J. Dillon. I needed somebody that's a number one running back, and I think he fits that category.
All right, so then we looked at the rosters a little bit, and then you got some news on Mike Gesicki. What did you hear about Mike Gesicki that rose some concerns about your tight end position?
Yeah, I read some stuff like he's going to be less focal in the offense. So I'm like, I thought he would be more, considering they had Waddle and Hill. You got two tiny dudes. You want to get your big guy the ball. Devontae Parker's gone. You don't have a big receiver. So I figured he would be more involved. I'm still going to keep him, but I needed a premier tight end. So then, me and Rico, like 10 minutes later, started talking again. I needed tight end. So it's like, I saw Dawson Knox there. I had Dawson Knox before. I know what that offense can do in Buffalo. I know how much Josh Allen loves that dude. So he was the guy that, I really coveted. And so we just got it rolling.
Yeah, we got it rolling. And then before you knew it, there was other artillery shells and explosions going off. So we had a discussion. Mike was looking to shore up the tight end position. Again, when I was drafting, I forget what round it was. Maybe it was 6 or 7. People were gobbling up the top receivers. I already missed on DK. That was one I was hoping to get. And so I'm looking to get value at that spot. And then I saw Dawson Knox sitting there. And I remember Eddie traded me Dawson Knox last year when I was just starving for tight ends. And he was pretty solid for me. He picked up a little nagging injury, but in the games he did play, he was really solid. So I picked him up, and I'm like, well, I already have Travis Kelce, but Dawson Knox is going to be, a position to need for somebody. And it ended up being draft night. And so looking at Mike's need at tight end, I said, well, shoot, I've got him, and I've got DJ Chark in Detroit, who's probably going to be the deep target until Jameson Williams gets back. And so we crafted up a package. I wanted to get a receiver this time with upside. I feel like one of the biggest flaws of my roster is I've always got these name brands, and I never get an up-and-comer. And towards the end of the fantasy football season, I've noticed these up-and-comers are really who carries you from week 13, 14, and then sometimes even to the playoffs. And you get those guys that bloom. They're obviously past their bye week. They've got a full season. And then some of these teams that don't have winning records that are not really looking at playoffs are really looking at investment into the guy that they can build their team around, the franchise around. And so I had my eye on Treylin Burks from the beginning, wide receiver out of Arkansas, SEC West guy, big guy, like 6'2", 6'3", probably 215. They literally drafted him to replace eventually A.J. Brown. Now, he's not going to be able to replicate what A.J. Brown does now, but they drafted him and they felt comfortable enough with him to send A.J. Brown on and relieve the salary there. And so Trey Burks was a guy I really wanted. I saw him over there. And then Mike had something else I really coveted. I root for the Lions. Not ashamed to say they're not very good, but Jared Goff was a quarterback that I'm kind of high on this year as a backup. I don't think this is a guy that you roll out and he's going to win you a bunch of weeks. But in a pinch, I feel like Goff can give you a good start. And I felt like he was better than the quarterbacks on the waiver wire. So I sent out a sure thing in Knox. And a guy in DJ Chark, I don't know what his floor will be, but his ceiling will probably be somewhere around 20 points if he catches a long TD. He's going to be that back half of the route tree guy. And so we crafted up a package of Dawson Knox and DJ Chark outgoing from Tribe Geronimo. into to Michael's team, and then he sent back Trey Burks and Jared Goff, and that was the second half of our little draft day duet. And so
that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of moving and shaking. So I want to introduce everybody. This is Mr. Smiley, college baseball player, overall rock star dude. It's going to be his first year into the Justice League, and he's a guy that I've been recruiting for 2 years to try to get over here. And we finally made the move to go to 14, and he was one of the first guys that we thought to bring in. Gets along great with our group, adds a lot to our group. I think he's an asset, and I'm very, very happy to have him. Just tell him a little bit about yourself, Trent. We'll get into our trade we pulled off.
Yeah, so speaking on like the Detroit Lions love, I'm a Michigan man myself. So born and raised, my dad grew up on the east side of Michigan. That means inevitably Detroit Lions fan. So with that being said, on that talk of Jared Goff and Chark and all that, like I'm really high on the Lions, but I am every year, so I don't know how much that means. But yeah, no, I'm really excited to kind of take this fantasy league to a different level. You know, it's always been, you know, onesie twosies here with, you know, our boy Trey. Just kind of, you know, and Trey's actually the one that introduced me to fantasy football. The first season I ever did was it was with, I think it was with in your league, Rico, but it wasn't nearly as serious as this one. And I didn't really get it. I was just kind of going to Trent, like, man, what's going on? Like, I know football, I know these players, but I don't know how to trade. I don't know how to set this lineup. Like, what's going on? So first year was real rough, and then after that, it was just like I'm hooked. So been talking to Rico for, like he said, for a few years now about getting pretty serious about it. So when they said that they were going to extend it, I was like, I got to take this opportunity. So yeah, happy to be here.
And that's how it happened, man. We are always looking to bring in guys that we consider family and guys we think will be here for the long haul. I had a conversation, we're going a little off topic, but I had a conversation with a guy in the gym the other day, and he was telling me that his fantasy draft was coming up. I think it was last weekend. And he was like, yeah, man, this is my same crew. My boys from the military, we've been doing this since 2006. And I was like, man, wow, that's cool. I mean, in 2006, you're talking about what, 14, 16 years? I mean, that's a long time. It's pretty cool. So that's one of the things, one of the visions that I have for this is to just make everybody take some ownership in the league and really take pride in it and just kind of be like a band of brothers, man. For the first year, I think our sports chat, our Justice League chat extended throughout the year. It never stopped. The notifications kept going. And I thought that was really cool. We kept the fire burning, and going to 14 now, bringing some guys in. We brought a former champion in. We brought Mark in. We brought Anthony Porterfield back. We brought our man Trent here. So we've got 4 acquisitions we feel really, really excited about. A couple guys aren't going to participate this year. Maybe they come back next year. We'll see what happens. But it's all family with Justice League, man. And so I'm really excited to have Trent here. And that's just kind of the vision that we have here. And I think it's universal, and I think it's comprehensive within the entire 14. We want to put it to another level. That's why we're doing videos about trades. That's why we're doing videos about the draft. That's why we're talking crap. We're making fun of people, and we're doing stuff. It's all in good fun. And we're just trying to take it to another level. So with no further ado, we'll talk about the doozy that we pulled off. And I know Mike can chime in here. and if Trey and Corey were here, they would know too, because we were talking about some Eckler deals. And so I hit Trent up, I think, earlier today, and I just pitched like kind of a question mark. I took a screenshot of something, and then I sent it to him, and he was like, yeah, it's like, I do that. And so it kind of got my wheels turning now. It's like, I have Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler is not my favorite player, but he's literally a top 3-4 guy in fantasy. Yeah, unanimous.
Honestly, so like, with that being said, so like with my hectic day going on yesterday, like I put into the group chat, I didn't even get a chance to actually draft anybody. So it was just all automatic drafts. It's very unfortunate. It's not the kind of draft I want on my first draft in this group, but life happens. Got to move. Got to take care of things. So I'm looking at my team a little bit, and it was another side of that, another layer to that is that my email was wrong in the Yahoo fantasy app. So I'm like hitting up Trey and Rick. I'm like, yo, where's Justice League? I'm like, I'm in the WhatsApp. I'm like, what's going on? Where's it at? I can't see my team, can't see anybody. And so he hits me up with this, and I'm like, man, he wants Austin Eckler? And I'm like, I'm not trading away Austin Eckler. And then I was just like, wait a second, who has Austin Eckler? And I was like, oh, he wants to. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll take Austin Eckler. And honestly, that was the one thing that I saw on there. I was Austin Eckler, and I was just like, okay, that's a RB1, strong RB2. Hard to pass that up for that kind of deal. So I was like, yeah, let me just take a little bit further look, but I don't see why not. So I finally got to look at my roster, and I finally got the trade. He started talking about his love for Nico Collins, and his extreme love for CD Lamb, which you probably won't go into there, Rico.
Yeah. So just a little background in it, and I think it's kind of cool that we do this with the trades there, so people can kind of get a background. Everybody's not required to do it, but I think it's kind of fun to be transparent. So Austin Eckler ends up on my team. I picked him. He fell to me at 9. He's a top 3 pick, top 4 at worst. Just our draft is crazy. We had quarterbacks go in the top 5, so he falls to me. And immediately I'm like, okay, I know there's some people that are extremely high. Mike is extremely high. Trey is extremely high. Some other people are extremely high in Eckler. So I was like, immediately in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to trade this MFer. Like, that's going to happen. But I got to get the value back. So I reached out to a couple of guys. I reached out to Joe. I reached out to Miss City. I reached out to a couple of guys just to put some feelers out there to try to get equivalent value. And then I thought, I'm probably not going to be able to get back running back value. I talked to Gino about Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry with the foot injury and just this being a PPR league, Austin Eckler is just simply going to score more than Henry. And I think I think most people would agree. And so I thought, well, why not try to super Sam receiver, right? Receiver is what I like to be really deep at and really, really good at. And so I'd already pulled off the Metcalf, and I was like, well, I've already got Debo, I've got Metcalf. I was like, well, let me try to trade this RB, 2 or 3 overall to Trent. And he had some receivers. He was stacked at receiver. One, CD Lamb. CD Lamb I won a championship with. I'm literally down and out. Trey has me beat. I'm losing to my brother in a championship game. Like, I'm never going to live it down. And just from the ashes, CD Lamb takes
up crazy.
takes an end around and then gets another one. And it just scores 2 crazy touchdowns. It just lifts me to fantasy glory. So it's like, I want my dude. Like, CD Lamb is my dude. I had him last year. I wanted him really bad this year. Got DK, but CD was like WR2 for me behind Chase. So I was like, if I could flip Eckler into CD Lamb and try to get some value back, which that value is going to be Mike Williams. Now, Mike Williams, that looks heavy, but Mike Williams really had maybe 1.5 years of really playing excellent football. He's got the back problems and everything else, but when he hits, he hits. So I was like, if I could get CD Lamb and Mike Williams and I could steer away from the injury, particularly the back injury, man, that could be some super sandwich of my receivers. And then I'll just take the hit at running back and try to figure it out. And so I threw in Nico Collins. Now, Nico Collins is the number 2 in Houston. I actually know Nico Collins. I was fortunate to meet him with Karan when Nico Collins was on his visit to Michigan. So I kind of got to know him, got to know his family. Really wanted to draft Nico Collins, was able to do it. But definitely wasn't going to hold on to him when I had a chance to get CD. So, Trent's pretty familiar with Nico. I'm familiar with what they're expecting from Nico this year. I think he's going to be a solid receiver. He's definitely not going to be a CD Lamb, but he's not going to be a slouch. And, depends on what happens with Brandon Cooks out there in Houston. Right now, Nico's a 2, and a tweak of an ankle, Nico could be a 1. And hearing how Lovey talks about him, I thought really highly of Nico. So Nico and Eckler go to my man Trent. Trent gets his RB1, top 2-3 RB overall. And the thing about him is he's a Wolverine, man. When he gets hurt, he's back the next week. He's back the next week. So I get my man CD and I get Mike Williams, who's boom bust, man. Mike Williams is boom bust. So my receiver's going to be looking good, but I gave away a whole lot of capital with the Eckler deal. Trent, what's your overall feeling on it? How excited are you to get Eckler, top 3-4 player?
So, like Rico, I had those problems going on earlier, and I finally got to get that squared away. Finally got a good look at my team. I've got Aaron Jones as a running back, so I got a very, very solid running back in him over there in Green Bay, and just seeing Eckler on top of that too. One thing that I've noticed in a couple of years that it's kind of opposite of you, Rico, for me, I've always felt like I've been more successful with strong running backs than strong wide receivers. And running backs, and to the point, outside of Derrick Henry's last couple crazy years, really solid running backs like Eckler, like Aaron Jones, that can catch, that can run, that can do everything, that are just gonna be targets. They're gonna be consistently on the field. Guys turning into that, like DeAndre Swift for the Lions. Like, he's turning into something like that, which is really nice to see as a Lions fan. But and then obviously watching Nico Collins all through college, being the wide receiver 2 in Houston. He's a big guy. He's an end zone threat. He's going to be a guy that's going to be down there within the 20-yard line that they're going to be taking some shots to, and he can definitely go up and get that ball too. So he's definitely a flex kind of guy. Maybe a wide receiver too if I'm pretty bare bones that week. But he has the potential, especially obviously given all the variables. He's got the potential to put up a couple touchdowns, maybe not a whole lot of yards, but a couple of touchdowns that could really boost up the week for me.
Look at just how this fits into your team now. I mean, you have Brandon Cooks, so now it's like you have the security. If something were to go down to Cooks, you don't lose anything because that point projection would go right to Nico. So you have that protection there. You already have DJ Moore's got the best quarterback he's ever played with. And then having a trifecta of Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, and Rashad Penny at running back with Dalton Schultz as a tight end, you're projected about 150, and that's without a defensive player. So you're going to be looking at a 160 projection, which is right about where the meat and taters of the league are. So it fits your roster. I mean, you're not hurting in that starting lineup for sure. So
no, I will say a little bit off topic. This is new for me with the whole defensive side of things. That's gonna be a weird. That's gonna be a weird thing to kind of get used to and kind of plan around.
And we dropped the video on that, and then I'll make sure that you get that. I know you were moving. I'll send that video to you. There are some really quality defenders that are on the waiver wire right now that are right around the 10.5 to 11.5 point per game range, which is decent. That's solid. And with our scoring system, man, it's all about turnovers. You get a guy who gets some turnovers, man, he can really swing your week. So you'll get spun up on that. Your team looks really solid. I was really excited to pull off some of those fireworks and kind of get the genesis of how the teams are going to look. Mike, we did our thing last night. I mean, we wanted to do something draft day, and we did it. Just overall, Trent, how do you feel about this league? Just seeing some of the stuff that we're doing, seeing some of the transaction activity this early, the banter back and forth. Is this different than what you've experienced before?
It's like it's a 180. And honestly, if you just break it down, you could break it down to a couple of different things, how active people are talking to each other. But the biggest thing, and the thing that makes me most excited about this league, is that I've always tried to pull off trades with other leagues, but essentially it's like you got your draft day team, that's your team throughout the whole season. And that's kind of like the leagues that I've been with recently. Like they're not, Mike, like what you're saying, they're not okay. They're not okay trading a quality guy for a quality guy. They just want their guy. Like, okay, cool. I know I got this guy. There's no back and forth. It's just essentially you got what you got. If someone goes down, if you're the first one to pick up their backup on the waiver wire, then you got it. There's no trading. So that's what's really, really stuck out to me, is the amount of communication and honestly the amount of talks of, or like I guess the idea of people blocking people's trades too are kind of cool to me. I like that a lot. I like playing the devil's advocate is one of my favorite pastimes for me. So that should be fun too. That should be fun too.
Well, welcome to the new age, because you're going to see a lot more of that. A lot of trades in this group. I told Rico from the start, like, I knew he was going to trade him. I was like, he was telling me about Saquon Barkley. I'm like, dude, don't do that. Like,
No.
seriously, get some value. Austin Eckler is a freak. I love what he does as a running back. And then I love even more what he does in the passing game. So he's going to get you double points nearly every game. Yes, there's a chance he get hurt. But as I told Rico, when you're doing trades, and this goes for anybody, you got to have dudes around dudes. You got to have Mike Williams. You got to have Justin Herbert. You got to have Keenan Allen. You got to have guys around guys that it promotes their game even more. When you look at some of the best players, they're surrounded by other great players. That's why I was so high on Eckler, and I'm glad you guys could finalize and get worked out. But I'm extremely high on Eckler, and I understand you got to get your guy, and CeeDee's always been Rico's guy. Hell, he's my guy. That's my team. Like Dallas, I'm diehard. So that's my squad. So I understand, the feeling he had about that, and understand going after your guy, and that's what it's really about. That's why I did the trade with Rico. I had a weakness at tight end. I had a weakness at running back. I needed that. He had a weakness at receiver. I knew he coveted Jared Goff. So, and I like Jared from a fantasy standpoint. So a lot of times, and it goes to draft, you draft guys that other people covet, so you can use as a piece later. And that's kind of what I did with Treylin Burks. That's what I did with Goff. I like both of them from a fantasy perspective, but you never know when you could use those pieces. And you guys kind of did that with him getting CD and Mike, and you getting Eckler. I think that's kind of the way this stuff moves. But it goes back to just what you really covet on your team. What you value. Some people value running backs more. Some people value receivers more. It just matters what you value, and then you roll with it.
Yeah, I think the thing too with all these trades, I know most of the managers do it. We got some pretty shrewd dudes in here when it comes to making trades. And I know one thing I'm always doing is I'll give a lot. I mean, I'll go 3 for 2. I mean, if you've even done like 4 for 3s and crazy stuff, I'll give really good assets, but I'm always recognizing what that leaves me behind. Like what's left in the ashes. Like at this point now, I'm looking at the running back room. And I've shipped off Dillon, I've shipped off Eckler, and I had the number 2 ranked running backs in all the 14 league. Now, I mean, I'm going to be down there to double digits. So to me, it's very important when you trade. One thing I always do is I always try to see, okay, if I do this, where does it leave me? And I'm already 6 steps ahead of what I need to do. I already know who's the number 2 where and who it's going to fall. And if somebody tweaks an ankle, waiver wire, we have a fab system. So everybody has a free agency budget. $100. Everybody's got that same $100. So for me, I'm going to have to go ahead and take the nicotine smelling dancer to the boom boom room with my $100 to try to get a running back on the waiver wire.
As long as you leave with a good time, that's all that matters.
Hey, I mean, we're kidding, but no, I mean, and Joe did this last year. Joe's one of the better managers in our league. Had a rough year last year. Had some injuries and some bad luck. Bad luck, Joe, as Trey calls him. But I think it was week 3, maybe it's week 3 or 4. Elijah Mitchell came on the waiver wire in San Francisco, and he dropped the whole 100 stack on him. The whole 100, just boom, threw it on the table, and he got him. Mm-hmm. And but he rode with him for gosh, he must have started him at least 7 or 8 weeks down the stretch. So it actually worked out. It worked out really good. I know Corey dropped, I think it was 50 on Cordero Patterson last year. Cordero Patterson went crazy. And so, the free agency budget is another thing that I think you're going to find, Trent, that takes us to another level. Mike, I know we've talked about the free agency budget and just the fairness and equity that it kind of brings. Because it's like, I've got 100, you've got 100, Trent, you got 100. Now, how you manage that 100 all the way through the playoffs, because it doesn't renew, that's going to maybe determine who gets that top, waiver wire guy in week 7 that can change your whole roster. Mike, you have any thoughts on the fab budget?
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing you have to be careful with. I mean, we saw a lot of guys really blew the fab on guys early on. They're like, almost like you're thinking like they thought there was going to be more in the reserve or something that they were left. But you got to. I mean, it's just a thing where you gotta. If you really covet a guy, then you go after it. A little bit, but it's just something where that 100 and that's it. And it's good. It's just it puts you in that manager role to. Hey, if you covet this guy, then put your money on it and then see what happens. But I think it's just a matter of choice, really, when it comes to the fab. You just gotta be wary and do your homework. And we have such a great group of guys with this family that they do such good homework. A lot of these guys do really good homework from the waiver wire, and it's shown the last few years. I mean, Corey's had some really good pickups from the waiver wire. Joe has too. Rico, a lot of these guys, I mean, all have had good picks, and it's really just about how much you covet the position, and it really just depends on each position. I think T's going to really like kind of a lot of the stuff we do. Got to watch out for Trey. I know that's your man, but be careful with the conversations on the phone. You never know.
Yeah.
He might pick up a guy while you're talking to him on the phone. You never know.
Now I've got to give a disclaimer. So Trey learned a lot of those tactics from me and him going back and forth. But I didn't know he was going to take him out on innocent parties. Mike was the first victim. But me and Trey kneecap each other all the time with guys. We'll be talking about a guy, and then he'll look for him and be, God dang it, where's he at? And he'll be on my team. Yeah. He'll do the same thing to me.
But he's a great dude. I mean, Trey is a great dude. I love Trey. I mean, it's just all jokes and all that stuff aside. Trey's a phenomenal dude. I've gotten to know him for a year. I've been in it for a year now, and I just love who these people are, and that's why I keep doing it. It's the best league. I do like 12 leagues for my site, which is War Chant. I cover FSU football, and it's nothing like this. Like the competitiveness, the trades, the consistent waiver wire checking, which you'll get people staying up till 2 and 3 in the morning just to get their dude to see it click in. But we have a great group of guys. Trey, Eddie, Corey, all these guys are phenomenal. Even the new guys, and we're excited as hell to have you and all the new guys with Anthony. It's just the whole thing is created for us to challenge each other. That's why we're doing it. We want everyone to challenge each other. We want it to be fun, but also just everyone challenge each other. There's trash talk, but it's all doing love. It's not any vindictive stuff. It's just more just competitive nature from everybody. But I joked about Trey, but Trey is a really good dude, and we love everybody here, and we just want everyone to be locked in and just do your thing. I mean, that's what we want.
Yep. So you got what's your expectations for this year? Do you have any expectations? Now you kind of got a little taste. You've seen the crazy trades, and you already got through some adversity. You have a good team, though. I mean, you didn't walk into a bad team. If that was all the draft, they did you some justice there. What expectations do you have this first year? What are you looking to accomplish besides win it all and talk trash?
So if I'm really thinking about it, if I'm going back into my experience that I've had from the first year of fantasy football that I was telling you guys about earlier, this is obviously a different level. And obviously, like you said, I do have a good team. I do, obviously, the goal is championship, right? But, to give myself some grace in that, I want to, this year's going to be a learning experience no matter what. If I fall into a really nice spot, do well in the playoffs, then great. But I really want to learn the tricks of the trades that you guys are doing, because like I said before, the only leagues I've been in are just, that's your team. That's it. So, definitely catching up on the homework on the guys. I didn't even know about the waiver wire until you guys mentioned that. I would have been out there. I would have been $100 in debt right there. I would have been at net zero. So I'm glad that I caught you guys saying that. But no, it's just this style, this tempo, this type of league is going to be really fun. And I'm really the first year is going to be learn as much as possible, stay on the beat as much as possible, and then next year, like you and like Rico and when I was talking to you and Trey about it, hopefully we can get the whole squad out to Vegas, that kind of stuff. Really start getting into like the nitty gritty stuff, and really start taking this to the next level. And then when we do, I'm prepared. So that's really what I want.
That's good, man. I think you're going to do well. I know cousin Eddie runs a league. You're in that one, so I know you're pretty competitive in that league. So, you're going to hit the ground running.
I do know Eddie already sent me a message. talking about a trade that I did with him last year, and he was still not happy about it. So
holding receipts for a
That's
year.
it.
For a year.
That's Eddie. That's Eddie, man. AKA receipts. He always keeping them.
But
Yeah, man, we've got a lot of great things that we do in here. I think it's great. I mean, I think you're going to like the individual defensive player aspect. I know that's new to a lot of people, but after this, just dig into the scoring settings, as hard as you can, and just see where you can get. I mean, you've got some guys on your team that are going to score a lot of points. And when you go to the waiver wire will open up tomorrow night. So you can put in a waiver now, but you can't just put them on your team right now. You can put in a waiver wire. You can use your fab now. So, I mean, I wouldn't drop a whole bunch personally in week one and kind of wait to see how it feels out. But, the waiver wire, if you want to stay up till 2:15 Eastern or 3:15 Central, like some of these crazy folks do, then you can actually get the guys then. They'll be available. And you can see trades go through and all that. But, yeah, my thing is, it's not a fantasy football league worth, an investment if it's not affecting your work productivity. And I, for one, find myself at work scrolling on my phone, sending messages, looking at this, looking at that. And that's kind of what I want. I don't want people to not be productive at work, but I want people to enjoy it on that level and for it to be an overwhelming kind of deal that people are really into it. And it provides them some happiness at the end of the day. It's not about everybody just winning. We want to do this kind of stuff. We want to make people feel good about the successful weeks that they have when they win a championship. We got 14 championships this year, one for every week. And that's what we're trying to do, man. Think outside the box and just really get this thing rolling and ascending upwards, man. I'm really happy with the direction. Really happy to have all you guys on here.
Yeah, I'm focused on 1 week. So Diane won't make me sleep on the couch. So I can get 1 week, I get some money. We're good. No, that's what I'm kind of focused on, a 1 week plan. Yeah, it's going to be fun. We and Rico have been talking about this for this draft and just the season for hell. We've been talking about it all year, leading up to a year. So that tells you where this league has gone to, that you're talking about it year round. Even after it was over, we were still talking about, what happened, what they didn't do, what I didn't do, what this other guy didn't do. I had too many injuries, or, hey, I should have played this guy. So that's what makes it special. The conversations never stop. It isn't just about, the league too. It's just about, the constant what's going on in the, sports world. So we keep it fresh. We keep it active, and that it's just like no other place.
Well, that's how we're going to wrap it up, man. I'm happy to have you on here. So now we've introduced the Fantasy Football World of Justice League to Trenton Smiley. Happy to have him. Amazing crew.
Everybody.
Yep. We got Michael Langston. We got
appreciate you, Mike. Appreciate you, Rico.
Yep. Anytime.
Absolutely.
All
so
right.
We're going to sign off, man. We look forward to seeing both you guys back. $75 richer, maybe even more at the end of the year. We're going to see.
All right.
All right, y'all fellas. Be easy. Stay blessed.
Deuces.